Hey everyone. So we got the tiny house presentation poster we're looking at here, and you must be thinking that you're probably all done and you're ready to print this off on the plotter, and that's awesome. So just a quick double check of a few things maybe to make sure you have everything nice and neat and ready to go. I've had a few students, we just typically don't have very many dimensions around their floor plan. So make sure that you have an overall dimension on every side. And then you have also some rows that represent where every wall intersection occurs. And then perhaps a row that shows where every wall and door or window intersection occurs. Okay, so typical of architecture is that they have plenty of dimensions all around, so there's just no questions asked. And just to be clear also is that all of these exterior dimensions should be referencing the outside of the stud, okay, on the outside walls. Interior walls will have dimensions that, and I don't have any actually, interior walls will all be referencing the center line of the wall. But anytime we're on the outside wall, our references need to be on the outside of the stud. Okay. Make sure our levels and our section views are nice and neat. Mine could have been out a hair further on the left here, but I definitely try to pull them all apart so I can see all of my labels nice and neat. Nothing's overlapping. And if needed, the labels for all of my renderings, just make sure you don't have any labels outside of the sheet. You can't have anything off the paper or it doesn't print correctly. I think I mentioned to a few people that if you wanted to get rid of your labels easily for rendering, what I did was I clicked on one of my renderings and I'm going to modify. These are all called view types, by the way, or viewports. Sorry, viewports. They're kind of like windows that look in at our actual views. What I did was I created a viewport specific for rendering. So I went up and hit edit type, bring this over, and I duplicated and I renamed it viewport-renderings. Because then what I was able to do then was to switch all of my renderings to that, instead of viewport 1, the viewport renderings. And what you can do then, under that setting is where it says show title for viewport renderings, we're going to switch that to a no. And that gets rid of that title right there that is typical of these other. If I click on this is just viewport 1, and clearly that title is still on. And that's good. I want those on the other views so I can see what scale you're printing at and what they were named. And that's just one way to clean up those rendering titles. Last quick note is that I stacked all my floor plans here because I made separate views of each thing. Even though I could have had the main floor and the garage together, I broke those into separate viewports or separate cropped regions, so that way I could move those around on the paper in a much easier format. Okay, and you can also see that I got a little problem here. When you do a temporary hide and you save your work and come back, you're going to have to hide those items you do not want to print. So for example, I don't want my patio to print. I would need to go back in here, highlight that patio, use the light bulb, or I could have right-clicked up. Oops, sorry, not light bulb, sunglasses. Highlight that patio. I can just right-click also, hide in view element, and clean that up. Then double-click outside the view and go there. So that's the one downside of when you do temporary hides. If you come back in and need to edit or tweak something, again, I should probably tweak these a little bit here. Just grab that blue dot. Those levels all can go just a little bit beyond the wall. That looks better. And then double click outside. So anyway, get to the point why I even turned this video on is how to print, right? Let's do that. So file, print. There we go. And we're going to be looking for the 1160 plotter. I don't care if it says print or Pembine or whatever they are, but 1160 plotter. We're then going to go into the properties of that plotter. We're going to go to page setup. We're going to change our size to arch 24 by 36. And we're going to leave it set to landscape. And we should be good on this one. Then we're going to go down here to the setup button. And it should recognize that we're doing 2436. We're going to leave it centered, but we are going to click the zoom button. And this is goofy, but you click zoom and you leave it at 100%. And the reason is, if you didn't, it would try to fit this box that represents the paper line on your sheet of paper as well. So you kind of get this double margin, and we don't want that. We want this to be our main margin when we're printing this job. So zoom 100%, click OK, and then say no to all these little save for future references. Nope. And then finally, we're going to go in here and select the viewer sheet. We're going to select, and you can uncheck views, and then just check probably just the one sheet you have, your project poster. Click OK, and say no again. And go ahead and click OK and send it over to the plotter, and get up and walk over right away, because otherwise it cuts it and it falls on the floor. You just want to be there to catch it. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching.